Hello, everybody, and welcome to technically still week 9 of the 2025 NFL season. I should start off with an apology. This is not out before the Vikings game. Halloween festivities and the life in general got in the way, which is good because everything that I would have said before the game would have been dead wrong. So I'm going to do, I think, what's much easier, which is to talk about this week's game after the game's already happened. No, I'm just kidding. This will be pretty brief. I'm still stunned the Vikings won, but I wanted to share some thoughts coming into the game that now I can, we can all just pretend like never happened because the Vikings won and everything's right in the world and we're clearly going to the Super Bowl. But first, a beer. I had this whole thing planned. Like I had a Halloween costume. Maybe I'll throw a picture of it up right now. We'll see. It was Halloween. I was going to do something with that, whether it be, acting like a wizard that can see the future or acting like Moses or Noah and giving people commandments, specifically giving the Vikings commandments, like, thou shalt not let thy quarterback be turned into a pile of hamburger in the backfield, things like that. But I couldn't take the makeup after I got done handing out candy, so that was gone. But I did get a beer that is on theme. Elm Creek Brewing Company's Rare Candy Sour Ale. Just a gorgeous can. Beautiful. And it's candy, Halloween, right? Perfect. Elm Creek Brewing Company, Champlin, Minnesota. It is a sour ale with blueberries and raspberries. A fruity treat in a can, Rare Candy is a kettle-soured ale brewed with over 40 pounds of blueberries and raspberries per barrel, resulting in a truly refreshing ale. Trick or treat, let's give it a taste. I can smell it already. All right, now I hope the lighting does do it some justice. It's a very beautiful, rich, I'm gonna have to consult my pack of Crayola crayons to know. It's like a burgundy, garnet, maybe, color. Smells very, very rich raspberry aroma to it, so. Skull feel it there? Ooh. Yep. Yeah, that is everything that I expect in a sour. The sour is definitely there, but like just in the right amount. A bit bitter on the very finish, but otherwise really good. It's not even a drawback. It's a different thing. You get fruit right away, then you get sour, and then there's just this little bit of bitter at the very end. Very good. The fruit is definitely there, and it's clear. Like I could tell you without reading the can that this is like a raspberry blueberry kind of thing, but it's not overly sweet. Doesn't give you a toothache. It's very good. Rare Candy Sour Ale from Elm Creek Brewing in Champlin, Minnesota. Okay, so obviously the storylines coming into this week were the Vikings' inability to get anything going on offense, KOC turning from the quarterback whisperer into a man who actually built an altar and tried to sacrifice Carson Wentz in the backfield, on the field. Craziest thing I've ever seen on national television. Turns out it was a conversation that they had, and as is often the case, like we all saw a thing happen on TV. We saw a guy who talks a lot about like respecting quarterbacks and taking care of his quarterback. And we all saw Carson Wentz laying on the ground, wincing, writhing, running off the field, holding his shoulder. We knew something was wrong. And the storylines write themselves, right? How selfish of the Vikings to, ruin this guy's career, destroying his arm. KOC talked for a while about it and talked about how basically Wentz wanted this opportunity to go out and do his part for the team. Like he knows his career is probably towards the twilight stage, and he wanted to do his part for his hometown team, the Minnesota Vikings. I don't know if hometown's the right word if he grew up in the Dakotas, but the team he grew up cheering for. Closest thing to a hometown team that he has. I think my problem with it, more than if Wentz said he could play through the pain, and if the trainers told him that he couldn't do any more damage to it by playing through it, that doesn't bother me as much as the fact that he clearly was not playing at 100%, and the Vikings still kept rolling him out there in a game where things were going incredibly pear-shaped. And while I know that, if Max Brosmer is the backup, he was undrafted for a reason. Like I've famously kind of had my trepidations about Josh Dobbs a couple of years ago because, he's a backup for a reason. And while you can get some big weeks out of people, it seems almost delusional to act like, oh yeah, like the Vikings are sitting on this gem that they're just keeping hidden for some reason because they can't see the potential there. I'm going to go out on a limb and say the people who practice with him every day know what his capabilities are. It's a little concerning that they think one-armed Carson Wentz is better than two-armed Max Brosmer. I don't know. Either way, it doesn't matter because J.J. McCarthy came back today and, is the next John Unitas, whatever. So that's the main storyline. Carson Wentz is on IR, done for the season at the very least. What I wanted to talk about, my favorite, like the thing that made me laugh. Do you remember last week when I put up this image showing that despite losing to the Eagles, the Vikings actually comparatively had a better offensive success rate? Like Sam Hoppen calls this his "Did we really get beat that bad?" chart. And the Vikings lost, but according to offensive success rates, they should have won. They played better than the Eagles, but they lost because of a handful of deep passes. So after that, and me talking about how, hey, I think against the Chargers, the Vikings have a chance to win it. They probably won't. They're traveling. They're on the road. It's a Thursday night game. Weird things happen. And then the Vikings went from being technically better but losing to becoming the whooping of the week. Like, did we really get beat that bad? They got beat the most soundly, as is shown here in this graph. So if I had gotten my ducks in a row and had time to talk about how the Vikings would fare against the Lions, like by all accounts, a top 3 team in the NFL, 3 or 4, by all unbiased metrics, I thought there was no way this game would be anything but a bloodbath. The Lady Beetles are out. I thought it was going to be a bloodbath. I thought the Lions were going to take the Vikings behind the woodshed and Old Yeller them. Even if the Vikings had come out and done things offensively, I thought there was no way the defense could keep the Lions in check. I was stunned to see how many sacks they got. They looked so inept offensively and defensively against the Chargers that I can't believe they won. I watched it happen. I'm going to have to go back and probably rewatch some of it because I was meal prepping because I had made plans to distract myself from how bad I thought this game was going to go. I was going to put it on and then cook while the game was on. And instead, it turned into a really good game. Obviously, you don't want to get over our skis. McCarthy had a good game, but I think he still threw for like less than 200 yards. I don't remember what the number was exactly. But a win is a win. So I'll wrap this up because talking about a game that's already happened is not really my thing, but I kind of felt bad taking several weeks off, coming back for a week and then disappearing again. And I just felt like I could maybe voice some of the astonishment that many Vikings fans, I have to imagine, are feeling coming away with a victory against the juggernaut in the division, I would say, the Lions. For those of you who don't follow football in general, Mom, the Packers also lost to the Panthers today, which this is not me rubbing it in. This is just me saying the NFC North is kind of a weird place right now because the Bears are on a hot streak in somewhat unconvincing fashion, and the Vikings, week to week, God only knows. The Packers are like awesome one week, and then they totally lay down and play down to their competition the next week. And the Lions have been blown out by the Packers and then just decimated other teams. So the NFC North is kind of up for grabs. We are officially now past halfway in the season, and it's only, I think, going to get more interesting from here on out. I'm glad today went well. I hope J.J. McCarthy, I think the Vikings at this point, as the last team in the division, love to make a playoff push, right? We would love that. We've kind of gotten used to it with KOC here, but I guess I don't really expect it. There's something missing mojo-wise with this team, and that's something I wanted to talk about too that I don't want to get into right now. But the Vikings had their crazy comebacks in the first year of KOC, and then they had the Pasternaut, and they had Nick Mullins, and they had Cam Bynum and his crazy end zone dances. The team was always fun, even if they weren't winning. This year, it's been injuries, it's been quarterback controversy, It's been conspiracy theories. It's been kind of a drag. So hopefully winning against a division opponent that has put up 35 points or 30 plus points against you like the last 5 games and has really, I mean, the Lions have beaten the Vikings pretty soundly the last like 4 meetings. Hopefully getting this win on the road against a division opponent is enough to kickstart a little bit of energy, because I believe they go on the road next now to play the Ravens. And that could be a really interesting game because the Ravens defense has been banged up, but I think they're getting healthier. They just got Lamar Jackson back. I'll talk more about that game this weekend. All right. Sorry to those of you who were looking for this pregame. I'll try to get back on my horse here. Hope you all had a safe and happy Halloween. Skål for there. Perfect blend of sweet and sour. Thanks for watching, and go Vikings.